First and foremost, Felix makes this story out of savings, and he directs our attention to certain areas where cost has been cut. But it is also on record that this government has spent more money than any other government in a fiscal year. That's also a fact. Now, to what end does your cost reduction measures when it does not reduce your budget spending? So it basically meaning that you are either starving some areas and putting into other areas that are probably also not relevant. Reasons for borrowing. Every government, no one has ever borrowed to go and pay staff. Every government justify the reason why they have to borrow by anchoring on the fact that we need to put it on productive sector, improving our infrastructure base, the basis of which the economy can grow. That's always been the reason. So to create a sense that you are okay, it is okay for you to borrow, but this are because you are going to borrow and put it in infrastructure, it's always been the mantra, it's always been the slogan, it's always been the reason for every government deciding to borrow. Now, when you came to office, even before you came to office, in Parliament, outside of Parliament, you made so much mockery of the fact that the government had to borrow. And you also feel some of the fact that government borrowed to do a lot of infrastructure activity, and that some of which are actually going to yield benefit for this government. We've seen massive and huge monumental infrastructure development under the MPP government across the country, that every single region had their fair share. And when you follow the development tracker or project tracker, we gave you statistics of every district where development projects were going on. And for the first time, we were able to do this with borrowing among other internal resources. So to create a sense that, and even when you give opportunity to tell us why you are in a hurry to go back to borrow, you go back to history and tell an MPP and everything you get back. Now look, this government clearly by the statement is telling us that one thing, that they are now ready to go back to the bond market. That's the first story they are telling us. Two, they are telling that they have been too much dependent on the short-term end of the market, i.e. treasury bills, and that they are going to move away from the treasury bills. Three, they are not even shy about it, and they are not even going to do it with some finance. They are telling the whole world that we are coming to borrow. This is clearly a departure from a government that seeks to say that, look, we want to contain expenditure, we want to live within our means. If you decide to borrow, you are basically telling us that you don't want to live within your means. That's the first message you are telling out. And that the moment you create and you screen out to the market that I want to borrow, you are telling us that you are trying not to live within your means because domestic revenue that you are generating is not able to suffice for the projects that you want to do and for the commitment that you've engaged in. Now, let's posit this particular decision of government in a hurry to go into the market. There is a delusional fiscal space that this government is seeing. They are imagining some fiscal space. When they look at 45% to GDP of debt to GDP, they see that there is some, maybe if you look at the 60% mark to GDP, there's some, some 25 percentage points around, which some 15 to 25 percentage, 15 percentage point which they can do. But let me explain why I think it's delusional. One of the reasons why I think that it is a fictitious fiscal space is because, one, you have overvalued your currency. And Bright alluded to that fact that once your currency is overvalued, because you have supported it, you have injected some 20 billion. In fact, every month you support the cedi by 1 billion Ghana cedi, $1 billion injected into the economy to support the cedi. You are basically creating a false strength of the cedi. And that will translate into your debt to GDP being lower than it was before the actual strength of the city. So that is one sense of the fictitious fiscal space that they are thinking that they can fit in and borrow more. The second thing is that they lament and borrow, even in this particular platform today. Felix has made nonsense of the fact that there was the debt exchange program. And the government is blamed for the debt exchange program, but they are eating the fruit of the debt exchange program. And you see, the fruits of the debt exchange program, because it created fiscal space, our debt obligations were put into the future. For the whole of 2025, 2026, they are not paying any loan. Those are the fruits of the debt exchange program. So if you sit down and you look at the fruits of that particular program, a painful decision that the Ghanaian people had to swallow in the betterment of the whole country, which the government came into office and they are taking the benefits of it. But you turn around and you are blaming, even under their regime, they have done some debt exchange programs. They didn't say it was bad. We approved it as part of the finance committee. They didn't say it was bad under the previous government, so we were stopping it. They did debt exchange program as part of the bilateral and commercial agreement, as part of the general debt exchange program. So you, on one breath, you are taking an initiative that the previous government took.
You mean you left an obligation that they were fulfilling, and
but a government had obligation to deny the program, to repudiate the program, to say that we are not committed to the program. No one tied the hands of the government to it. So you cannot turn and blame the government because you believe, if you did not believe it was a good program, you have terminated it. If the NDC government did not believe that the whole idea of debt exchange was a good program, they have terminated it. So if someone is talking through the issues and through his mouth is trying to blame a government for a very program that they are taking the benefits of it. In any case, I said it is delusional and it is a fictional.
I've not seen a Ghanaian who has applauded the DDEP,
I said
including yourself.
It is not, that's what I'm saying. Let me tell you from the individual point of view, from the hardship it exposed, every austerity measure, no one will ever support it. Structural adjustment program in the 80s, in the 90s, who applauded it? Everyone under the PNDC, under the NDC, everyone was against it. But it was a necessary and a bitter pill that ensured that our economy recovered. So you will not see people praising it. All right, so that is one delusion that they are creating, that there's some fiscal space, and that fiscal space is created by the debt exchange program, and they want to plug in that particular space by borrowing. Now, they are saying that market conditions are good, and because those market conditions are good, it's okay to borrow now. And they are just trying to fit into the euphoria, into the seemingly good macroeconomic. In any case, those indicators you are priding yourself now, they did not start in 2025. They have become better in 2025, but it is not the case that the trend that you are seeing started in 2025. That's the first fact we have to register. Second, there was an IMF supporter program. Under the program, there were certain decisions that the previous government had to take on the basis of which we will get the significant macroeconomic indicators. Why do you lose sight of that particular decision to even go to the IMF program that impose conditionalities on us, that ensure that government live within its means, that ensure that government should not borrow, either from the domestic or from the external market for 3 years? And that 3 years is coming to an end, or that particular moratorium is coming to an end this week or last week, and then you are issuing a statement to that effect. Because the reason why the IMF put in that conditionality was to the fact that when you have your debt in unsustainable levels, and then you are borrowing, and when I'm giving you money, you may have a tendency to use the money to pay your debtors. It's quite tempting. So because of that, we'll have to put in that particular condition to say that, look, from now on, until such time that we are out of the program, no servicing of your debt obligation, and you should not borrow. There was even a cap over 250 million per annum in terms of the net addition into your debt.
May I ask you one question?
You may.
You don't see anything positive about anything that has happened?
No. I see.
What's your?
Let me give
any prescriptions for the government?
I have prescriptions for government, and I think that
the restrictions on the DDEP are we're getting out of it, and so they should go borrow.
So let me. I was coming to the prescription. In any case, I'll be the least to say that things are not better than they were in 2024. I've always stated it. I've never shied away from it. And it is infidelity to the fact that I make those concessions. They on the other side, in fact, they try to even say that you did nothing. When the facts shows that things were put in place, certain measures were taken that culminated into the results we are seeing. So I'm the least to take away any shame from this government by not acknowledging.
Returning to the bond market is bad. Is that what you're saying?
No. I'll tell you why it is.
Because your regime ran the economy literally on the bond market.
Let me tell you why it's a dangerous thing. We ran it on the bond market, and the difficulty and the risk that we didn't contemplate was that there was going to be a crash of the economy. Because your economy is expanding, you are borrowing, you are thinking that debt to GDP will always save you. That's the thinking of every policymaker. That when you did not contemplate a disaster, that will strike and even make sure that you have zero growth, or negative growth. No one had contemplated, and this government is making the same mistake. And that's why we are drawing their attention to that possible trap, that debt trap that we found ourselves cyclical in. They are falling into that. The reason why they are doing this is that, one, revenue is not performing. If your revenue is not performing, and you are rushing to borrow, you are basically going to increase yourself or throw yourself in more into the debt trap, because government itself, their revenue target for 2025, they failed to meet that. So when you fail to meet your revenue target and you are in a hurry to borrow, that is one risk that you are going to face. Two, the structure of the economy and the changes we are seeing, the positive changes are seen, are not based on structural changes. They are based on, if you like, administering the symptoms, trying to address the underlying symptoms of the economy. They've not addressed what can culminate into what we call the real sector improvement in a manner that the structure of the economy will change, so that it can support any borrowing you want to do. What I see and what I anticipate is that this government will continue. They will borrow long term to fulfill their current obligation, and that cycle is going to go. So for me, I think that government will have to hasten slowly. I'm not of the least saying that government should not borrow.
Okay.
I have to make that point clear. I'm supporting the fact that government would have to finance its development activity. The use of that particular borrowing must be geared towards, like you said, productive sector, supporting infrastructure. Right. However, the tendency for you to lose sight of the fact that you think that gold prices are increasing, imagine for a moment gold prices should reduce.
Thank you.
What happens?
I see Felix is itching to say something, but let me go around and return to you. You're still here on Newsfile. This is your most authoritative news analysis platform.